Okay guys, today we are starting a new chapter. We are going to start doing proofs, but in order to do proofs we need to know some stuff first. Properties of equality are a big thing we use in proofs, so we need to make sure we know all of them. The first property of equality is the addition property of equality. Addition property, so like if, for example, I say A equals B, the addition property of equality just means I can add the same thing to both sides of an equation and it stays the same. Same thing goes for subtraction, only instead I'll be subtracting the same thing from both sides. If I subtract the same thing from both sides of an equation, the equation will stay the same. When I'm talking about the multiplication property of equality, again, if I multiply the same thing to both sides, here, let's actually, then my equation does not change. And lastly, the division property of equality. If I divide, or if I see fractions, and the denominators are the same, nothing changes. Because if I do the same thing left to right, I'm balanced, and you should have learned that in Algebra 1, right? So that should somewhat be reviewed, but we've never known the name for it. Another review one is the distributive property. So remember, if I see something like this, I would distribute that A to both things. And remember, we multiply to everything inside the parentheses. Okay, next is substitution property. So if A and B are the same thing, I then can take A and replace it with B. That's when, for example, when I find out that X equals 2, I can then put 2 in the place for X. That's what we're doing. We're substituting in, okay? The reflexive property, here's the hint, a value always will be equal to itself. Reflection is how I help people remember this one. When I look in the mirror and see my reflection, it's still me. So that's what the reflexive property is, that something will always equal itself. Symmetric property of equality. That is when I can say A equals B or B equals A. The way you've seen it probably in algebra is if I say X equals 2 or 2 equals X, it is the same thing. It's just I flipped the two sides of the equal sign is what happened there. Transitive property does get a little tricky. So I want to make sure we go over this one in depth a little bit more. If A equals B and B equals C, A equals C. So in this, I need to have two equations. So in this case, I have A equals B and B equals C. And I notice that B is the common thread between the two. So then I can cross out those B's and put that the two things also equal each other. The way I think about this is, like, if I work with Mrs. Kress and Mrs. Kress works with Miss Caskey, well, that means me and Miss Caskey work together. So that's what that kind of means. If there's like a common thread, you can then put the A and C groups also are together. This one tends to be the trickier one, so I do want you guys to make sure we remember this one because it will come in super handy for proofs later on. At this point, these are the notes for today. I know I went fast, so I hope you paused or you rewound or did what you had to do. But make sure we get, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 properties. Please make sure you have all 9 properties in your notebook. We will need this for the entire chapter going forward.